Okay, so we've got 5 papers in this session. So we'll have to do 10 minutes each. That'll give us 50 minutes and a minute or two at the end.
Excuse me, Professor Mike, a little bit changing in the next session's presenter. Mr. Joe, he's in the room. He will present 20 minutes. Professor Dan Ripke will present 20 minutes and 10 minutes for Professor Washington. The other presenters having, unfortunately, some excuse, and she sent the apology for us.
Okay, so we have 3 presenters, so each one can take up to 20 minutes.
Yes.
And Mr. Joe, is that how you pronounce that, was going to go first? Is that right, Hanadi?
Yes, yes, Mr. Joe.
Okay. Mr. Joe, are you here?
Mr. Joe? No,
Okay.
no problem.
All right, let's switch to Plan B. That would be who would be next then, Hanadi?
Dan Ripke will be soon joining us. Yes, Professor Washington, you can start as a first presenter.
Professor Washington.
All right.
Professor Washington is here.
I can't. All right, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, that's a good start. That's a good start.
All right, and you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly. So
right.
The first
I
step
just need
is,
to share my screen when you're ready.
okay, you can share your screen now, and you can have up to 20 minutes.
Okay, give me just a moment.
All right, press the right buttons there.
Yes, that's important. Okay, that's important. Give me just a moment. All right, I need 30 seconds. My presentation was not showing up like I wanted to. Give me just a moment.
You're under a little pressure here, so. I hope our screen didn't freeze. Hey, it looks like we're having a screen freeze there with Professor Washington.
If you have a problem, Professor Washington, you can send me the presentations. I think she have a problem with the internet.
Yeah, it looks like she just froze up on us. Yeah, we don't have a plan C, I'm assuming.
Don't worry, Professor Mike. Everything is under control. No problem at all. We are here in the largest conference in the 3rd year, focusing in economic diversifications with the best practitioners worldwide joining our conference. No problem if we miss some speakers. We give excuse for all of them.
Okay. You always do a marvelous job with these conferences, Hanadi. Somehow you manage to make everything work at the end.
This is from your support, Professor Mike. Professor Mike is my PhD advisor. We're spending together more than 25 years and forever.
Yeah. Okay, so we're hoping Professor Washington comes back. So she'll be one of the speakers. And we don't think the other speaker or 2 is here yet.
You can contribute, Professor Mike, about your opinion about this conference, about the future of the digitalization, how it's the work now transfer to be a digital economy from the traditional economy to digital economy, and how it's the pandemic. It's accelerate the transformations, specifically in MENA and in other countries, developing countries. And what is your opinion about that, and how it's now the virtual services will be leading in the coming future?
Exactly. So the COVID really changed the way a lot of business was carried out and the way people interacted with business. When COVID hit, most economies of the world ended up shutting down. I know the US shut down for 6 weeks. Everybody went home, and suddenly we tried to learn how to do our work remotely. Surprisingly, in the beginning, worker productivity went up significantly. So companies started to say, well, maybe this isn't such a bad thing. If workers are going to be more productive being in a remote location, they seem to favor that over coming to work every day. And if productivity is going to go up, this looks like a good thing for everybody. Well, as time went on, and typically happens with productivity, you get a spike in productivity, and then things tend to go down. And what's happening now, at least the latest studies I've seen, is that productivity has gone down significantly. As a result, companies are now saying we want to bring people back to work. Some entrepreneurs are saying if you don't come back to work fully, then you're not going to have a job anymore. Elon Musk, for instance, who took over Twitter just yesterday, said to all the employees, now he realizes going forward, we're likely to be in a recession next year if we're not in one already. That's likely to see a global recession also. As a result of that, his revenues he expects to go down significantly. He said, well, we were a tech company, Twitter was, a tech company that grew so rapidly in the last 10 years or so, nobody really watched. Twitter management didn't watch whether we were getting bloated and had too many employees. Well, now that revenue may be declining, we're going to have to take a closer look at that. He initially said about half of the employees don't seem to be needed. We can do what we're doing and have the company function with about half the employees. So I think they had about 15,000 employees. He said to 7,500 of them, we don't need you anymore. He laid them off, gave them generous severance packages, but laid them off, and he's going to become more efficient. Then just the other day, he said of the employees that are remaining, you have to know that you will be required to come back into the office and work. And again, if you don't think you're able to do that, then you can terminate the employment and I'll offer a generous severance package. So I think this remote work, we saw higher productivity in the beginning. We don't see that now. And now we're seeing more of a return back to what we traditionally had. I don't know how this will finally shake out. I don't think we're going to go back completely to everybody working from an office. And I think in some industries, you'll continue to see a lot of remote work.
Yes, Professor Mike, Professor Dan Ripke is joining, and he has 20 minutes. We can start with the Professor Dan Ripke, because Professor Washington, it maybe disappear with technical aspect. Let me follow.
Okay, so we'll start with that. You have 20 minutes.
Professor Dan.
Try to have some conversations.
Yes, hi. Just one moment.
Yes, hi. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Just 1 second. I have a little challenge with my PowerPoint not wanting to open up. It's always something.
Yes.
Hold on just one moment. Let's see. Almost there. I'm not sure why my PowerPoint will not open. Let me do this.
I can help you, Professor Dan, if you share.
Well, for some reason, the program's just collapsing before it actually gets opened. So let me do this. Hold on here.
You have to love all this technology and what it can do and how it can make us more productive as long as it's working.
Exactly. I used to consider these things, you know, that they were foolproof, and now apparently I'm wrong. So hold on, let me try a different screen. The only thing I can think of is maybe restarting my computer, but I'd lose the connection with everything going on there. Let me see.
If you did that, that means I would have to start talking again.
No, I love the sound of your voice, though.
Thank you. I actually have a little bit of a sore throat, but I appreciate your compliment.
All right, we're almost there, I'm hoping.
We're getting
Let's
there.
see. All right, and oh, it still doesn't like me. My apologies. And the weird thing is, with this PowerPoint opened up just fine yesterday. All right, let me try one more thing.
Try one thing.
Michael, where are you from?
I'm in New Jersey. Oh, here comes
Okay.
Professor Washington. Stockton University is just outside of Atlantic City, and I live just down beach from Atlantic City.
Professor Washington, are you ready?
Well, I'm going to try. Siri, I'm going to try. Let's see.
Can you send me your presentation, please?
Oh, okay.
Wait a
No,
minute.
it's
There you go.
open. It's open. Thank you.
Okay.
It's showing.
Wonderful.
All right.
All right. Let's
All
go back
right.
to slide number 1.
All right.
I'll be back. I'll be
All
back.
right.
after
Okay,
this.
All right,
Dan.
Pam, we'll be
Okay,
looking for you,
Professor
buddy.
Dan. Okay.
Okay, well, I have to tell everybody, well, first of all, I'm so sorry for my technical issues, but it seems like this is a forgiving and wonderful group today, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to talk to you today about what I'm doing in the area of teaching entrepreneurship. And I'll talk about it in the context of my role at Shenandoah University. So let me tell you a little bit more about what I'm going to do today. So I'll introduce myself. I'll talk about my philosophy regarding innovative approaches to teaching, and I'll talk about how I integrate empathy, reflection, and a sense of community and in the skills that I teach. And then also I'll talk about innovation, like how do I get innovation into my teaching as it relates to entrepreneurship? And then of course, I will be open for any questions you may have. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Dr. Montressa Washington. I'm an associate professor of management at Shenandoah University, and I am also the director for the Institute for Entrepreneurship. In addition, I want to let you know a little bit about my background. I come from industry. I used to work at Accenture and IBM. So my training is in management consulting, and I still take some time once in a while to be with clients so I can stay current in the industry. In terms of my education background, I went to Case Western Reserve University for my doctorate. And some of the things or some of the gifts that I have that I bring to spaces is being a connector, a system thinker, and an expert in change management and transformation. And then I also spend a lot of time building entrepreneurship ecosystems. All right. So let me tell you about my philosophy, how I view teaching entrepreneurship and what's important to me. So I do a lot of research, as we all do here. So I'm a researcher and I do research with entrepreneurs. Specifically, I do a lot of work with women entrepreneurs and micro entrepreneurs. I'm a big proponent of collaboration, and you will see in many of the techniques that I use, I can only do this with collaboration with colleagues at the university. And then also, I am very comfortable with experimentation, and I try a lot of new things. I experiment, and some work well, and well, others don't. So let me tell you a couple of things that I do. So I am, committed to developing skills for the budding entrepreneurs that I teach in a way that they are very capable of leading organizations from a perspective of building empathy and having a sense of reflection, that they understand how to engage with community, and in addition to that, knowing how important innovation is to entrepreneurship. So let me tell you about how I teach empathy to entrepreneurs. And just wanted to make a couple of points that empathy is the most important skill for leaders, according to Forbes. And this is from a 2021 article. And empathy has always been a critical skill for leaders, but it's taking a new level of meaning and priority. And it's far from just a soft approach of how it can drive business results. So I'm going to talk to you about a technique that I use in my classroom called reflective structured dialogue. And this is a technique where students are given information about a topic that can be quite controversial. So for example, if we're doing a topic around hiring for your business, I introduce the students to the concept of what would you do or how would you handle hiring ex-offenders, so someone who has been in the criminal justice system. And so the way that it would work is I would give students opportunities for research. So they would have some background about the topic, both pros and cons. And then they have an event, and we call it a reflective structured dialogue, for which they are in groups. And I have a series of questions that are presented to them, and they discuss the questions in the groups. Well, the reason why RSD is so effective in helping students learn how to develop empathy and use it in a business context is because they get an opportunity to discuss a controversial topic from different perspectives. So everyone in the room may have a different lived experience. Everyone in the room may have relatives that may have experienced, maybe some of the topics that we are using. And so this is a way for students to gain empathy. And I have to tell you, it's a hit. Students love it because it's rare. It's not often they get an opportunity to build that kind of connection with their classmates. Reflection. So reflection is another skill that if you read, again, some of the current periodicals or some of the literature around reflection and how important it is for leaders, and in particular CEOs and entrepreneurs who will be running their own ventures, it's important that they understand and take time for reflection, because reflection will give them an opportunity to get better insights, to reflect on maybe some of the decisions that they have made and what they would do differently. So the way that I train or I teach students the concept of reflection is I created just a rough fillable journal on the topic of emotional intelligence and entrepreneurship. So what I do is I use the core components of emotional intelligence, and I give them prompts so they can reflect on maybe something we've done for the week, or maybe a guest speaker. But anytime they have an opportunity to learn something new or experiment with something, I give them an assignment where they do reflections. And again, they do it in the context of emotional intelligence. All right, so moving along, community. Well, as you know, there have been a lot of world changes and people in communities, with all the protests that are going on around the world, people are asking and demanding different things. So I feel it's important for me to teach my entrepreneurs, my budding entrepreneurs, the concept of how to be in community and how to use your expertise to have conversations with those in the community. And it's a technique they can also use with their customers. So this is how this goes. So students get an opportunity to explore a topic from an entrepreneurship lens. And it's an opportunity to promote greater understanding as well as creative and analytical thinking. So let me give you an example. So for an entrepreneurship class, some of the topics that they could deal with is things around sustainability within communities, issues around global warming, and because oftentimes entrepreneurs are definitely involved in those conversations. Maybe things around, in the United States, cannabis is becoming legal for recreational use in many states. And those are conversations that entrepreneurs absolutely have to have. So students are given an opportunity to explore a topic. So they explore the topic for the entire semester, they do research and develop their own points of views. And then at the end of the semester, we have a town hall event where people from the community and community experts come in conversations about certain topics. And this teaches students how to, again, engage in community as a leader in the entrepreneurship field. All right, then the last couple of things I'm going to talk about is how I help my entrepreneurship students learn and think about how technology plays in their businesses, even if they don't consider themselves as developing a technology business. And one is how to develop AI chatbots. And I have to tell you, I leverage a lot of the free content that's available through MOOCs. And in particular, this is from my MOOCs. And it's a 4-hour lesson where students can learn how to develop a chatbot. And this has been very exciting because even students who didn't feel that they were technical or had a technical solution, they could all figure out how a chatbot could be useful to their businesses. All right, and I have a few more, and then I'll go ahead and wrap up. Another technique or skill that I feel entrepreneurship students should have, or entrepreneur students should have, is around virtual reality. And so I use another book where they learn how to create a virtual reality app. And again, even for students who didn't think that they were technical or had a technical play in their businesses, by doing this, they realize that, maybe I do. Now, I have a special advantage at Shenandoah University because we have something that we call the Shenandoah Center for Immersive Learning. And we actually have a VR, an AR and VR studio on campus. And I will integrate aspects of that center into the coursework in entrepreneurship. And I think that was it. So I just wanted again to share with you what I use as it relates to students learning empathy and reflection, and then also how to engage in a community. And then I just shared a few techniques that I use so they can learn different innovations and different technologies to experiment with their business. And that's what I have for today. So I can stop sharing, and if now is the time to field questions, I can do that now as well.
Yeah, how about I'll come up with a comment or two. I believe your university looks at some programs and some fields that may have appeal going into the future. You didn't mention cannabis studies, and because so many states have now legalized recreational use of cannabis, that is certainly an area for entrepreneurs, and I know they're rushing into it. I also believe you have a program in esports too, I think.
We sure do. How do you know that?
Well, I checked your webpage.
Yes, we do. We do have a program in esports. We do. And I wanted to share, you mentioned, the whole conversations around cannabis, and it can be from an entrepreneur wanting to get into this field, but it's also a very important topic for entrepreneurs who hire, because it is a really big HR issue in terms of how do you develop policies around the use of cannabis in the workplace? Are you allowing people to come to work maybe under the influence? So these are questions that entrepreneurs have to struggle with.
Yeah, and especially, there are some companies that there's some very technical stuff that has to be done, or something done in the medical field, and they're going to have to watch how this is how cannabis is used in the workplace. I'm assuming it'll end up similar to alcohol, in that you're not supposed to use any alcohol in the workplace. What you do in your own time is up to you. So I have a feeling it'll end up something like that. The esports I find too a very fascinating field going forward. It's a little more than just playing video games. It's a competition that I know colleges even have teams. I think Stockton even has a team that they send on esports competitions. And this is growing to be a fairly large business. I think I live just down beach from Atlantic City. And I think Atlantic City even had a convention and brought in some esports players from a lot of areas. When you talk to your entrepreneurs about fields that are just in their infancy stage. Is there any special advice you give to them when going into fields like this? Because it's not like you're starting a business for a service or a product that we know there's a market for, and there's business models that can help you achieve success. This is really kind of a whole new area. Is there any kind of advice you might give to some of the young entrepreneurs?
Well, I think one piece of advice is just the power of research, because when you think about it, Airbnb, well, they really didn't have a model to do what they wanted to do, because basically they were fundamentally changing how we think about strangers, right? It really wasn't about providing hotels or space. It was about, how do I get people to overcome their fear of staying with strangers, right? And I think that, if entrepreneurs, again, study businesses or, that have ideas that were new to the market, I would first of all understand, think about what they, how they were able to do this. I would also say that I do think that, having a strong business model is going to matter, because at the end of the day, no one wants to fund something that is not going to make money. So I would still say focus on your business model.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you work with the students in developing business plans. So this is something I think usually in a business plan, you have at least 3 years worth of income statements and perhaps balance sheets also. But it's so difficult to predict what the sales will be for somebody getting into this field. So it makes, and if somebody's going to invest in this, they see the risk also. So it becomes very difficult for the entrepreneur and the investor, I think, to get together on the same page and try to have a venture that's successful going into the future.
Absolutely. So thank you for those comments and questions.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
All right.
Hanadi, I see Joe is here. Is it pronounced Joe, the first name?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, hello, how are you?
Okay, if you'd share
Professor
your
Mike,
screen.
plan B, plan C, plan D is well prepared. Huh?
Whatever you want. I am here for you, for everyone.
I always admire good planning, Hanadi. So as many levels as we need for good planning is fine.
Yes. Are you listening to me?
Yes, we are.
Michael Busler.
Bustler, right.
Mr. Michael Busler. Are you from United States?
US, yeah. I teach at
US.
Stockton University, which is, I don't know how familiar you are. It's near Atlantic City. Most people have heard of Atlantic City. So.
Yes, yes.
And I live right down the beach from
Very
there.
nice to meet you.
Nice
I
to
am
meet you
in
too.
Portugal, near Lisbon, about 20 kilometers from Lisbon, a city called Oeiras. But in this time, we are calling Oeiras Valley, because in this place, we have so many companies in innovation, in medical, new medical systems. We are in a place named Tagus Park. It's a place with many good companies. It's the second best place in our country, or to new companies. And we are very glad to be here in developing our system. In the morning, I showed our machine. I can present it before and then talk one more. I wish to talk English so good as you, but I am Portuguese. I think I speak Portuguese better than you, but it's my country. Do you know, next month I will be in San Diego. You invited us to go to San Diego. Yes, to the conference of water and climate changes with our solution. Wonderful. Yes. Okay, let me start. It was a big day from 6 in the morning. Very good, very nice day. Do you know, today is my birthday, And
Oh, happy birthday.
I think it's the besides my daughters and my grandchildren, I have 3. I think it's the best gift I can have today. It's showing my machine to the world. It's so fascinating. I'm so happy. Thank you very much. Let's start it. Okay. Well, I will talk about Acomore. Let me start here and here. Okay. Let me see if I can show you. Okay. Is it full screen to you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Acomore water saving solutions. Let's see what it does. How I said minutes before, we are Rome Inspire, it's our company, and we are located in the Tagus Park, city of knowledge. We are a water saving solutions company in Portugal. Well, we develop water saving solutions that increase water efficiency of buildings. This is just these 2 boxes I have here in my hand. Can you see?
Yes.
Very small boxes. 2 boxes for the set, the essential set. Just 2 boxes. Well, every day in Portugal, because our homes are not efficient, are not water efficient, we spend every day 100,000 cubic meters of drinking water. Because when we open a hot water tap, usually we need to wait for the hot water, and that process gives us the water that goes through the sink. And every year you can waste about 20 cubic meters of drinking water. We go to the environment, take the water, clean it, pressure the water. You need energy to do that. You pay the water when it goes to your home, then goes through away to the sink, and you will pay it again. In this process, we spend and we waste water, energy, and money for nothing. We need a solution for that. Well, and here's the problem. With the hot water consumed in the hot water taps, we need to wait for the hot water, because the hot water pipe is full of cold water when we open the tap. Okay, this is the solution. With Acomore, the water just open, the tap just open when the water is hot. Well, these 2 boxes that I showed you before, we can have a gas boiler or electric boiler or a solar system to get hot water. In the other box near, for example, the sink or the wash basin, where do you want to put it? Well, in the first step, you just open the tap, just like always you do. Then in the third step, the second step, Acomore will close the tap and makes a loop inside the pipes that you already have in your place. You don't need works to do that. It's very simple to use. Then the third step, when the hot water arrives here at the desired temperature that you set pointed before, the tap will open again and you have your hot water. Every time you use our machine in this way, Acomore will count the liters that you saved. Every time you save water, it counts your savings. Okay, then you can say see these savings in your mobile or in your computer or in your tablet. You can see your savings and many things about your machine wherever you are. For example, batteries. The small machine, this one works with batteries. You don't need a plug near. Here you need a plug, but here don't. You just glue it to the wall, because in the back side you have this little piece. You just glue it on the wall and clack. It's very, very simple. And there it is. You don't need to do works. This machine is very, very simple to install. Well, because the consumption of energy is very, very low, just €1 per year, just €1 per year, 2 machines working. You don't need to have a plug. You just use batteries, and you can charge your batteries with a simple charger of your phone with a USB Type-C, just right here. Put it here for a few hours, and you will have charge for about 1.5 or 2 months until the next charge. It's very, very simple to use. And in our application, wherever you are, you can see the charge of the battery of the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4, because Accumore is a modular system. You have the main system, the main model is the control model with the first one, but you can have 4, just one of these. And this is good for the price, because this set has a price, and one more of this one, you just pay half of the price, and you can buy all just what you need to put in your place. But this is for hotels, for example, or local places for tourism. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, many machines in many houses, and you can see how many water is used in many houses, how many liters they saved, how many times they was in the shower. You can know everything about that, and you can see it here or in the application. Okay, let's go on. As I said, the residential system is very easy to install, does not require works or energy outlet at the point of use. Sorry, my English. Our assets, we have a patented product ongoing, international. We have a first prize Acumais for water efficiency of buildings. Acumais is a Portuguese system near energy certifications of homes. But because water is also energy, there is a new system that qualifies buildings in its water efficiency, not just energy efficiency, but also water efficiency. And water Acumais says water plus in English, gave us the first prize for water efficiency of buildings. It's a very, very important prize. We have also a golden medal from Fernando Lopes a few years ago for the same idea, isn't it, Fernando? We have from 2022 Tectónica. It's a good fair of innovation and things to the environment. Prémio Inovação, honorable mention. We have our
someone believe on you, bro.
own
Someone believe on you.
We have our own laboratory for continuous research and development. We have also large-scale production capacity. Well, this is our small team, not just for two of us, but many others. But we will do the whole process, the whole production in big companies, not us. If we need to produce 2 a day or 4 a day or 50 a day, we can produce that. But if some client tell us, give us 100 a day, 200 a day, okay, we produce, not we, but big companies can do that for us, and that is very, very, very good. Well, Acumor is a system who helps to reduce water waste, decrease energy consumption by avoiding the treatment of wasted water, and we save energy too, because the water we saved will not need to be treated in a system in the outside, the gray water. We don't produce gray water. With this, we help to combat climate change and achieve the carbon neutrality. Well, we look for brand representation in many countries. We have already have in the north of Italy. We have in France. We have now Brazil. They want 700 machines to a new home place. And we have next month United States. The government of the United States wants to know better. They just know our machine because last year they came here to Tagus Park, a company with 10 people from the government looking for solutions. 1 year later, just now, they called us and told us, come here, please. Let me see better your machine. I love your solution. I think it's a good solution for us. They want to rebuild the way of water consumption in the United States, because it's many people in the same place and the water is not enough. And we, with Acumor, we can put the homes better efficiency, not to change the consumption, but making the buildings more efficient. And that's a good step to save millions of cubic meters every year. And we need to consume water, but we don't need to waste water. Wastewater is another thing that Acumor will resolve that. Well, it's my name, João Guerreiro, like John Warrior, and my email, my partner, and the general Acumor. You can mail us for here, and we can see better in acumor.com, our page when you can see or buy our machine. Well, it's what I have to present you. Let me here again. I must come back. Let me see how.
Professor Mike, if you give some time also for Professor Dan Ripke.
Okay, he's next.
Professor Dan.
Professor Dan is next. So we've just got about 17 minutes left. So I was going to make some comments about this, but I'll hold them.
Excuse me, Joe, can you stop share screen, please?
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry.
Professor Dan, I think Professor Dan is there.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, Professor Dan.
By the way,
what about you, Professor Dan? You are plan B or C or D? you are in which corner?
I will take whichever corner you give me.
You are one of the co-organizers with us. Thank you so much, Professor Dan, supporting us.
And I will say I enjoyed your presentation thoroughly about the water efficiency. California, in my part of California, we have the most expensive water in the entire country. It is very, very expensive. And so your technology looks to be very, very promising.
Thank you.
I did collect your email, and I will be back in touch with you, because
I will be in Coronado Beach in 8 and 9 December.
Okay,
Coronado Beach.
I'm about 5 or 6 hours north of there, but
okay.
Enjoy your visit with San Diego.
Just 2 small boxes.
Great. All right, let me see if I can get my computer to share a screen somewhere in here. Let's see here. Share. I'll try this one. Oops.
I can speak more if you have time. No problem.
How's that? Are you seeing the slide now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Good. All right. Very quick introductions. Dan Ripke. I'm with an organization called the Educational Association of University Centers. It's based in, well, it's actually an association of universities across the country. Currently, I'm based out of Monterey, California, which is about an hour south of San Francisco. So I've had the pleasure of working with universities in economic development for about 35 years in a variety of roles, primarily in the area of providing technical assistance, leveraging university resources to help local communities with general economic development, community development, and then lately been much more involved in technical assistance to help businesses, either entrepreneurs to establish their operations or to grow their businesses once they get past an initial growth phase. So very quickly, I'm just going to go over some of the programs, models of economic development programs at universities since about the 1970s, how universities can support economic development in a region, and then I'll give a specific example of a program in the United States called the EDA University Center Program. So there are a variety of programs in this country, and we've organized ourselves since the 1970s through a couple different groups. The one was the National Association of Management and Technical Assistance Centers, which Larry Molnar, who's one of the organizers of this event, has been prominent in. And that's where I first met Larry. I was working with NAMTech. NAMTech broke up in the 90s and became both the University Economic Development Association, which is an association of universities, again, across North America, and then the Educational Association of University Centers, which primarily works on trying to grow funding at the federal level for economic development at the university level. So again, a lot of what universities have done dating back to the 30s, 40s, and 50s was primary research in the area of sciences like biology, crop sciences, and then the military industrial complex with development of products in the aerospace industries. So a lot of that basic research is done at larger R1 universities that are well established and have multi-million or multi-billion-dollar research budgets. The smaller universities tend to be much more applied, and much of the work that they do is focused on taking existing technology, but helping to get it out into the field. So it's taking a brand new technology that may have been created in a laboratory with the university, and then getting it out into the field to help individual farmers, individual businesses, et cetera. And then more recently, over the last probably 25 years, there's been a focus on community and economic development, and that is helping communities to adapt to rapid change. And it could be economic change, it could be workforce change. For example, a lot of what's happening right now is a rapid deployment of new technology into the field, meaning into the agricultural fields, and helping, for example, in the case of agriculture, the fields adopt mechatronic programs whereby what work was done previously by manual labor is being done much more by robotics. And that robotics, it saves labor costs, but it also changes the job. Rather than being a manual job, for example, we call it the jobs that are typically involved with getting the product off of the ground and into a box or onto the back of a truck. Many of those jobs are now become automated. And the jobs of the future are going to be the ones that actually maintain the equipment to keep that part of the process as automated as possible. So the other thing we're seeing is also right now is the deployment of technologies like drones to monitor crops, to help treat crops for disease, et cetera. So in the United States, four of the key programs that are involved in basic economic development have been run through federal agencies, including the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Rural Development Administration, They have a myriad of programs that help farmers to develop new products, as well as to help these businesses finance their operations to expand into new markets and overseas. The Small Business Administration back in the 80s and 90s created a program called the Small Business Development Centers, which is actually a model that's used in all U.S. territories, as well as it's being deployed and being adopted by other countries around the world, which are basically small offices that provide one-on-one business assistance at no cost to the owner. They also run a series of what are called women business centers, veteran business outreach centers, a variety of other programs to help the entrepreneur in their early startup and growth phase. Housing and Urban Development Agency, they had programs including the Community Resilience Program, which help industries that are in the downward phase to resurrect themselves and maybe go into new regions, to go into new sectors. And then the other area is the Economic Development Administration, or EDA, and they're the ones that developed the EDA University Center program, as well as they've developed a number of additional competitive programs to help communities adopt new technology. So the paradigm that was developed about 15 years ago, and it's actually going through a resurrection right now, or a remodel, is something called the University Economic Development Paradigm. And that is, coming from a university, the question is, what value can a university provide to a community? The funny thing is, sitting in university economic development, it's often a stalemate between the communities looking at the university to contribute something and the university looking at the community to contribute, when in fact they all have different things to contribute, and it's not necessarily money. In the case of the university, the first area in this paradigm is talent, and the talent is basically the human resources, either the minds of the faculty members who can contribute, the minds of the students who can contribute to the community and to the local employment base, as well as the long-term giving back to the community. The innovation sector looks at basic research and very applied research, taking new technologies like the one that you have around, for example, the water technology, taking those technologies and making sure that they get out to the field as quickly as possible to help the areas, developing innovative products and solutions. We've had, for example, we have a company here locally in Monterey that they developed a new type of foam to replace styrofoam. And originally the students who came together about 7 years ago, they came up with the idea because they didn't like the fact that the surfboards were crashing against the rocks, breaking up, and for those who don't surf, the interiors of surfboards are made up of almost entirely of styrofoam. And so these young students who were scientists came up with the idea of crushing shrimp shells and making it into a slush or slurry, and using that slurry in place of styrofoam inside surfboards. Well, that product evolved, and they developed a number of surfboards, but it's actually now in current development, and they're actually rolling out to replace styrofoam in all areas. So you can imagine you get a package in the mail. Instead of having styrofoam that is not necessarily good for the environment, there is this foam material that is made up of seashell that as soon as you receive the package, you can break it up, put it in your garden, and it becomes a fertilizer for your garden. So it's a much, much different way of evolving innovation and into the environmental innovations. So finally, the last part of the paradigm is connecting place. And in the case of universities, it's trying to connect the innovations and the workforce into the local challenges of the community. In the case of this region, I mentioned the example of the surfboard. That was an environmental issue that they saw, and they were trying to get the styrofoam away from the beaches and from crashing into the rocks. They came up with a solution that addresses a local problem, and that's what universities are most adept at. So this same sort of example can be applied in any university or any community college anywhere in the world. So it's simply a paradigm where we see, and by the way, it's not just 3 different areas of the paradigm of innovation, talent, and place. We've actually looked at it. There are 7 different sectors, because you have the intersection between innovation and place. You have the intersection between talent and place. You have the intersection between innovation and talent. And finally, you have all 3. And what we're able to do is to identify university programs that apply into each one of these areas. And actually, we provide awards each year to best universities in the country. So Finally, last but not least, I want to make sure we have time to flip over to the next speakers, is the University Economic Development Program that was started back in the latter part of the last century, the 1980s, provides technical assistance and outreach from the university to the region. So again, it's providing technical assistance in the form of scientists, faculty, and students to get out and provide real world work on the ground, working with small businesses, working with industry, and working with the public sector. We've done a number of projects, including commercial feasibility of technology products, market feasibility studies, market research, the economic impact of projects if they should come to a region or should they leave, as well as developing specialized workforce training programs. So again, these programs, and I'm only showing a map of the United States, but they're spread across the United States and actually into all U.S. territories, such as Guam and elsewhere. So, and this just gives you some specific examples. We do, and especially a lot of these programs are located in rural areas because urban areas have larger private sector universities, but supporting regional commercialization efforts around, for example, developing new products in agriculture, or maybe the new deployment of drone technology into fields such as fighting fires, creating environments that are favorable for investment in areas that are currently not receiving enough investment, increasing the amount of time and money being pushed into STEM utilization. STEM is science, technology, deployment into rural areas. And then finally, and I've already mentioned this previously, but assisting the entrepreneur and helping those entrepreneurs to develop new markets. So I mentioned earlier about the idea about the cruise foam, the company that does the surfboards. Again, their original thought was all we want to do is to help the environment by eliminating the styrofoam from surfboards. What their advisors came, and many of these advisors were from the Silicon Valley, came over and said, look, you've got a great product, but you don't see the ramifications that it could save the use of styrofoam all around the globe. Let's see how we can take your solution to a problem and apply it globally. So that's what we tried to do in that program. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you, Dr. Hadid, for the time to speak this morning. It's always enjoyable to meet with your group and to the intellectual stimulation of the crowd that you surround yourself with. So thank you again.
Thank you, Professor Dan.
Extremely well done. Do we have a couple minutes, or is Beverly about to take me over again? I think we have a minute or two. I'll tell you, Dan, I found it fascinating. I live on the East Coast on a barrier island near Atlantic City. My kids were surfers, so I understand the problem. So you have a material that will substitute for the styrofoam in a surfboard.
Yep.
Is that right? And was the material still have enough of the same qualities, like it's light enough and could handle the finish and things that were going on? So, and how does it compare cost-wise to the styrofoam?
It's quite a bit cheaper. The big question is going to be supply and demand, because if they start to use it, or other industries start to see the advantage of taking the same type of product and making it into a slurry, is you get the economics of supply and demand starting to take effect. Right now, they don't have any issues with supply, though, of the seashells. Got to be careful of it. It's a pronunciation issue.
And is this something that the supply could be increased if the demand does pick up and more of this is needed?
I believe so, because one of the things you have to think about is the current waste system. Currently, when you think about waste in shell, processing of seafood, I'm certain that most of the waste is being just thrown into landfills, or somehow if that waste, the cycle can be diverted and put back into productive use. That's the question. It's the same thing. We had the same problem up in northeastern California, where I used to live for 30 years, where we had rice straw. And at the end of the year, it used to be that the rice growers would burn the fields once they had harvested their rice. And that was a terrible impact on the environment, because we had the smoke was in the air. It was terrible. People couldn't go outside for weeks at a time. Now that same rice straw is being reused in other ways. It's being made into furniture. It's being made into fertilizer. It's being really utilized in a variety of different ways. So the economics of it, though, was we didn't know how to get the rice straw out of the fields. We were just so used to burning it. So it's creating all new industries, though.
Excellent. Wonderful to see this innovation, and it tackling problems that are very serious today and will be very serious going forward.
And it is amazing. And we as folks at universities, we're able to be around the mind of these young people that see a problem. And when they see a problem, they see a solution at the same time. And it's actually invigorating. It's something that we as folks at universities take for granted when we never should take that for granted. So for example, like your water solution, I don't know how many times I've sat at a tap, running the hot water tap, waiting for it to get warm, and knowing that I was wasting water in the process. And so your solution is genius. And so now it's a matter of how do we get that product into the households all around the world. So
exactly. Okay, it looks like it's right about the time for me to again hand it over to my dear friend Beverly, who's been doing a marvelous job all day, and I'm sure she's going to continue. Beverly.
Well, thank you, Michael. And we'll see. I hope Hanani's on here. So I'd like to know how many speakers I've got for this session. Maybe we have a plan A, plan B, and a plan C too.
Yes, we don't know. We have a lack of a speaker. I don't know what's happening. No
I
problem.
don't know. Professor Gonzalez is here, I see.
Yes, and Amish